COVID-19 is triggering a debilitating condition post-COVID. Many people are misdiagnosed with this, and many people have no idea that this is even something that has actually got a name to it after you've had COVID. So what are we seeing? It's called POTS, which is Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. Now, what is POTS? POTS is a condition that causes your heart to speed up by at least 30 beats per minute after you're from a sitting or lying position to a standing position. It affects the involuntary nervous system function. All right. So how can POTS be provoked from COVID, you might be asking? Well, POTS is actually provoked by a wide range of conditions, but most commonly it's from a virus or a bacterial infection. New documented evidence published by the Nature Cardiovascular Research Group and published nationally on NBC News is now showing a strong correlation between COVID-19 infection and POTS. We're also seeing a correlation between POTS and a small amount of people obtaining POTS after getting the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine, which if you want to see that video, it's live, it's public, it's on NBC News, and it's in the research from Nature Cardiovascular Research. Now, just before anyone gets crazy about the vaccine stuff here, I do have to say that it was 5 times more likely that you would get POTS from COVID, the actual infection, than it is from getting the vaccine. So they're still suggesting that the vaccine is safer, but you need to talk to your doctor and you need to figure out the plan for that. You have to be your own self-advocate on figuring out if the vaccine is worth for you to get or not. It's your choice. Now, you might be wondering, what are the symptoms of POTS, right? Well, first let's go into detail of what POTS actually is, which is a form of dysautonomia. Normally, the body's autonomic nervous system regulates functions we would not consciously control, such as your heart rate, body temperature, blood pressure, sweating, etc. Now with POTS, your body's autonomic system fails. It fails to control the blood pressure, your heart rate. It makes it extremely difficult to make up for the change in your position from lying down to sitting up, to sitting up, to lying down. Your body cannot control this, right? The most commonly affected individuals is in the vertical position. So you can imagine how debilitating this can be, because to basically resolve this, you need to lay flat. So if you're trying to get up and do things, you're going to feel dizzy. Obviously, this is a debilitating condition that millions of people are suffering from post-COVID. I personally was diagnosed with POTS in December of 2021, and my symptoms included intolerance of exercise, lightheadedness, brain fog, memory problems, shakiness, headaches, and worst of all was the heart palpitations, extreme heart palpitations. They were extremely difficult. So what's the science behind this? Like, what is the science of why this is happening? So I'm just going to read you straight from Johns Hopkins website and kind of tell you what's actually happening. When we stand, gravity pulls more blood into the lower half of our bodies. In a healthy person, to ensure that a sufficient amount of blood reaches the brain, the body activates several nervous system responses. One such response is releasing hormones that help tighten blood vessels and cause a modest increase in heart rate. This leads to better blood flow to the brain and to the heart. Once the brain is receiving enough blood and oxygen, these nervous system responses settle back to normal. Now, enter COVID. For unclear reasons that may differ from person to person, the blood vessels don't respond efficiently to a signal to tighten. As a result, the longer you are upright, the more blood pulls to the lower half of your body. This leads to not enough blood returning to the brain, which can be felt as lightheadedness, brain fog, fatigue. As the nervous system continues to release epinephrine and non-epinephrine to tighten the blood vessels, the heart rate increases further. This is what's causing you to become shaky and have those forceful heartbeats and the chest pain associated with POTS. Now, some people with POTS can develop hypotension, which is a drop in blood pressure, while others can actually feel an increase in blood pressure, which is hypertension. What makes POTS worse is environment. If it's warm weather, you're going to experience it. If you're standing for a long period of time, not drinking enough fluids, eating large meals with simple carbohydrates, which pulls the blood to your stomach, which we'll talk about in part 3. So keep tuned with that. But just in summary, this is the new condition that many individuals are getting post-COVID, and there's a name for it. It's POTS. So if you're having any of these symptoms, Please watch part 2 after this video on how you can properly get diagnosed for POTS, and watch part 3 on how to manage and treat POTS with research found from the Cleveland and Johns Hopkins Clinic. Thank you for watching, and please share this video with anyone you know who may be suffering from these symptoms, and I just wish you all the best.